Over the history of guitars, there have been several things that have plagued us as guitarists. The first is remembering where the hell we put our guitar picks. The second is the deciding factor of to whether yet again add another guitar solo to a song that we wrote. And the third, probably the most important, is tuning stability. I can't even count the amount of times that I've gotten a brand new guitar in and I start playing on it and I quickly find out that the tuning stability on this guitar is absolute trash. Well, luckily for us, we actually live in a great time to be a guitarist because we have a really great fix for it. We have the Evertune bridge. Let's go ahead and start at the basics. So what is an Evertune bridge? Well, an Evertune bridge is a mechanically driven bridge that will always keep your guitar in perfect tuning to whatever you have it set at. And it doesn't even matter if you're going through different weather changes in your area, or let's say you're touring and you're going to higher elevations and then back down to lower elevations, or just playing really hard on your guitar. The Evertune bridge will always keep your guitar in perfect tuning to whatever you have it set at. And how is Evertune able to achieve this? Well, they say it is through a system relying on physics and springs. Let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper into the Evertune bridge. So when you look at an Evertune bridge, you'll notice that each individual string will have its own individual saddle. And unlike a guitar, let's say, that has a floating bridge tremolo system that has one block that controls all of the strings in that guitar, on the Evertune bridges, each individual saddle has its own block for each individual string and also its own series of springs underneath. And it's really cool because you can totally customize individual strings without the worry of having to disrupt what's happening on the other strings. So there is a rumor that has been spread about the Evertune bridge, and honestly, I have absolutely no idea why this rumor is even in existence. Maybe the people that have been spreading it are just jealous of a piece of equipment in a guitar. I have absolutely no idea. But the rumor is that you cannot vibrato or bend your notes on an Evertune bridge, and that is clearly not the case. Let me show you guys. Before we get into how to do vibrato notes and bended notes on an Evertune bridge, you have to understand the three different positions on the Evertune bridge. There are three different positions, and I have my Evertune bridge already set up right here. You can see all the different saddles in it, and I have my lowest string already completely loosened up, and you'll notice that the saddle on the lowest string is all the way back. So when it's all the way back, that is going to be position 1. And position 1 is basically where it's going to be when you are restringing your guitar. So it has no tension on the Evertune saddle whatsoever. But if I go ahead and I tighten this up, you'll actually start to watch the bridge piece move. There you go. And when it moves forward a little bit, that is when you are going to be in position 2. And position 2 is the bread and butter of the Evertune bridge. That is where it is going to be doing its magic, and you are going to be in perfect tune to whatever you have the bridge set at. And you'll know you're in position 2 as well because you'll keep tuning, and the pitch just will not change the more you tighten down the tuning peg. So let's go a little further. Okay, so you saw it come forward a little bit and it started to go up in pitch. It started to go a little bit sharp. That is going to be position 3. And position 3 is going to be all the way up against the front of the bridge here. And basically that's going to bring your guitar into a normal mode. So you can turn the tuning peg, you can go up in pitch, you can also go down in pitch and everything. But if I'm going to be brutally honest here, why do you have an Evertune bridge if you want it to act like a regular guitar and not use the Evertune bridge for what it is made for? And now that we know all of the different positions in the Evertune bridge between position 1, 2, and 3, now I'm going to show you guys how to do the vibratos and bended notes in the Evertune bridge. So basically, once you are in position 2, you are completely in tune to whatever you have the bridge set at. And to do the vibratos, all you have to do is tune up the note until you start to hear it go a little bit sharp. like that, and then back it back down to the original note, so that you are right in between position 2 and position 3, and then there you go. You can do vibratos and you can do bended notes as well. Another really cool trick that you can do with the Evertune bridge that I just recently learned is you can do a whammy bar effect with it by pushing on the bridge. So we can do this. It's just kind of a really cool trick that you can do with this. And let's say you want no vibratos or no bended notes or anything like that. I would just back off on each of the tuning pegs. And then you have no possible way that you can mess up any of the notes by bending or pushing too hard on them. It's pretty cool stuff. I'm really pulling on those strings and there is just no change in tuning. So you're probably wondering how the hell you actually adjust an Evertune bridge. Well, every Evertune bridge and Evertune equipped guitar comes with this little hex key. This is your Evertune key. Make sure you do not lose this guy. Even though it is a regular hex key, it just makes it so much easier. So there are 3 points of adjustment on an Evertune bridge, and that is on each different saddle. There are those 3 points of adjustment as well. So on the front here, that is going to be your adjustment for your intonation. So when you turn the key, it's going to move the saddle forward and backwards to adjust the intonation. On the top, that is going to be your string action. So how high is the string going to be? And inside the saddle is going to be how you actually tune your strings. So you are not going to be tuning your guitar up at the headstock with the tuning pegs. You're actually going to be tuning your guitar down at the saddles using the Evertune key in the Evertune bridge. And if you keep turning the key and turning the key ever so tighter, you're going to eventually hit a hard stop. And if you hit a hard stop, make sure you do not crank the key even further, because you will completely strip out that screw right there and you will ruin that saddle. So basically what that means is that the string gauge and the tuning that you're in is not supported by that certain Evertune saddle, and I'm going to show you guys how to check that. When you are shopping around for an Evertune bridge, this is something that is super important to keep in mind, and that is, can the Evertune bridge that you are looking at handle the tension of the tuning that you have and the gauge of string that you have? And don't worry, it's not the end of the world, but I'm going to show you guys how you can figure that out. So on Evertune's website, there is this nifty little calculator right here that you can find out which saddle in the Evertune bridge that you need to support the gauge of string and the tuning that you want. So it is pretty self-explanatory in all honesty here. There is the scale length, so 25.5 inches is the scale length of the guitar that I have my Evertune in. You can also switch it over to millimeters if you would like. And then there is the string size, so that is going to be the string gauge. So let's go ahead and do like the lower 3 strings on my guitar, because I tend to have a thicker gauge on the lower strings because I do a lot of chugging, and I just don't want the string just kind of like hanging off the guitar and just kind of wobbling all the way around. So let's go ahead and do the lowest one, which is a 62. And then I have a 7-string guitar in a low A with the rest in standard tuning. So it's basically drop A on a 7-string guitar. So yeah, it's already in A. Let's go ahead and calculate. Perfect. So it recommends the standard tension saddle model. So basically, that works perfectly with the Evertune bridge that I have. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one, which is a 52. And that is going to be tuned to E. Yep, standard tension saddle module, perfect. And then the third string, which is the one that I'm always the most nervous about because it feels pretty tight as I'm tuning up on the tuning pegs, which is a 42 gauge. And that is going to be the A string. There we go. So you see how it says we recommend the custom high tension saddle module for that one. So that is going to be a totally different saddle that I'm going to have in that Evertune bridge, but it is not the end of the world because they have a low tension saddle, they have a high tension saddle, and the standard module saddle that is in the Evertune bridge. So if you get a guitar and you find out you can't quite tune all the way up to the note that you want because there's just too much tension on that saddle, it is definitely not the end of the world. You can go out and you can get a brand new saddle for it. You can swap it in and out or have a luthier do it for you, and that might actually be the best option for you. But it is definitely a really cool tool to have, and I love that Evertune has this calculator on here because it makes it stupid easy. So definitely check this out. I've talked with a lot of people that claim that playing on an Evertune bridge just feels different from playing on a regular guitar. And yeah, I definitely agree with this one. When I got my first Evertune bridge, I went in for those heavy chugs and those hard playing notes and everything, and it just kind of felt a little bit spongier to me. That's kind of the best way that I can describe it to you guys. So when I went for those heavier chugs, it didn't quite have the impact that I would feel when I did that on a regular guitar. So yeah, it definitely feels a little bit spongier in my own opinion, but in all honesty, it only took me about a week or so to kind of get used to that, and then I was fine. You know how I mentioned earlier that each individual saddle on the Evertune bridge has its own block and its own set of springs, allowing you to fully customize individual strings to whatever you want? Well, I am here to elaborate upon that for you guys. So there are some guitarists out there that will have the lower 4 or lower 3 strings, depending on how many strings your guitar has. This is a 7-string guitar, so the lower 4 strings will be in position 2 to where you can't bend the note and you can't throw it out of tune by bending it ever so slightly. And then the top 3 strings will be right in between position 2 and position 3, allowing you to do ripping solos and be a little bit more expressive with the guitar and all that stuff. So this guitar can be fully customizable in that way, and I think that is absolutely awesome. Though I will say I like all of my strings to be right in between position 2 and position 3 because sometimes I like to bend those lower notes and throw a little bit of a pinch harmonic on them, but it is definitely customizable for any guitarist out there. So who would I recommend a guitar with an Evertune bridge to? In all honesty, I would recommend a guitar with an Evertune bridge to just about any guitarist out there, with the exception of those of us that really like tremolo systems and floating bridges, such as myself, though I am trying to find a workaround on that using a whammy pedal. But yeah, I would definitely recommend a guitar with an Evertune bridge to just about any guitarist out there. If you are a guitarist in a studio, the Evertune bridge is absolutely perfect for you because you don't have to stop every 5 minutes just to check your tuning, just to make sure that the recording stays consistent with perfect tuning. If you are a guitarist that plays live a lot, perfect. You can put on a great performance without the worry of accidentally bending the note ever so slightly and making it go sharp. It's in perfect tune. And even if you are a bedroom guitarist, your guitar is in tune, and really, that's what matters. Let's say you have the perfect guitar that doesn't have an Evertune bridge in it, but you are still really interested in checking out an Evertune bridge, but you don't want to give up the perfect guitar, obviously, because it's a perfect guitar. Well, luckily Evertune offers a service called retrofitting, to where you can send it into Evertune or a third-party luthier and have an Evertune bridge installed and retrofitted into your guitar. Obviously, there is no going back as soon as you do that because they have to carve out the cavity and they got to fit the Evertune bridge into your guitar, but it is a great option if you already have a guitar that you absolutely love, but you want to get an Evertune bridge on it. I recommend retrofitting it through Evertune or a third-party luthier that you know and that you trust. I'm definitely eyeballing a few of my own guitars for retrofitting, if I am being completely honest. And you can find all the information for that on Evertune's website. Anyways, guys, if you are interested in checking out Evertune, I will have the website link down in the description below. Also, if you are enjoying my videos in any way, shape, or form, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It helps me out a ton here on the channel. And with that being said, my name is Chris with High Impact Audio, and I will see you guys next time.